Sick of running into the same Talzin Red builds and mirror matches? I just went 3-0 with a version that flips the script. Different cards, different plays, same results. Today, I'm breaking down my exact list, how I pilot in each phase of the game, and all the matchups where it really shines. Whether you're looking to crush your locals or prep for a bigger event, just like a showdowns that are coming up or PQs, this build has the tools to do it. Let's dive right into the early game plays and see why this version can keep tempo while still packing massive late game finishers. Let's get started. So first off, we're going to start off with the 2-drops. Okay, right now we have Karis, Kylo Ren, Night Sister Warrior, and the Secretive Sage. All excellent 2-drops, but depending on who you're playing with, you're going to figure out who you want to do. So if I'm going to go against a deck that does like a Tarkin Town, I definitely want to get Secretive Sage first. Why? Because they're going to have to pop the shield, then do damage, then Tarkin Talent. That's a lot to do within your second round of the game. Most decks can't handle it, right? So that's going to probably be my priority. Outside of that, I like either going with a Karis or Kylo Ren. Both are pretty good. It just depends on the situation. But again, I personally like the Secretive Sage, probably number one, and then tied for second will be Karis and Kylo, and then third will be Night Sister Warrior. Now let's talk about round 2 or resource 3. So there's 2 potential options that you can go around here. Typically we have a couple of 3-drops, so let's talk about those 3 drops. We have Grand Inquisitor, we have Jedi in Hiding, then we have Mirren. Each of these units are very good, but it just depends on what you're playing against. If I'm going to go more of an aggro and I want to race my opponent, I'm probably going to drop the Grand Inquisitor. If I'm going against space, I'm probably going to drop Mirren, especially Vader Space. Mirren's going to help you get rid of all those flying units, even though you're mostly on the ground. And then Jedi in Hiding. This is actually the card I will actually play over the other 2 if I'm going against another Force Throw deck. Why? Because more than likely I'm going to try to kill something with the Jedi Hiding so I can maintain board state. But then also when it gets defeated, I'm going to use the Force, and I want to get rid of cards in their hand. Especially if they try to Force throw one of their cards to me to take out my leader or a big threat, they're getting rid of 2 cards. And then if I can crash Jedi Hiding into their units to take them out, now they got 3 cards. Now they're really at a disadvantage. So that's where I really like Jedi in Hiding. But also want to point out, there's another optional viable upgrade, is the Fallen Lightsaber. So Fallen Lightsaber is really broken on the Secretive Sage. He will actually swing in for 5. He does 1 damage to all the ground units, and it's very hard to kill him. Going against a control deck or another blue deck, you need to be careful because Power of the Dark Side is a thing. There are other options we can do here at the 3-drop turn. Power of the Dark Side is probably one of your best removal spells that you can use in the game. Sometimes you might not even get a 3-drop and you might only have Power of the Dark Side. That's okay. You can go ahead and use that. You also will have Force Choke. Force Choke allows you to do 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit, and normally costs 2 resources, but because you have a Force unit out, it's only going to cost you 1 resource. So that means you can play Force Choke and then follow up with another 2-drop like Karis, Kylo Ren, Night Sister Warrior, or Secretive Sage. It's helping you maintain that board state, plus keep the tempo on your side going. We do also have Force Throw and Force Lightning in the deck. We'll talk about those later because I don't consider those really the early spells. These are going to be your mid and late range events that you want to play. I would focus on Force Choke, Power of the Dark Side as the earlier round events that you want to play. But let's go on to round 3 or resource 4. Now we have options at this point. For units, we're looking at Chirrut, we have Darth Tyrannus, we have Talzin's Assassin, and on the event front, we have Shatterpoint. Again, of all of these 4, it depends on what you're playing. I would say most of the time, Talzin's Assassin is probably going to be the card you want to have, because it's going to allow you to use the Force and give something -3/-3, which allows you to kill something. So to me, having the ability to play this card and killing something, even though it didn't have ambush, is basically a pseudo ambush. I would also consider Darth Tyrannus almost on the same level as Talzin as long as you have the Force, because you can ambush in and kill something. Now, if you're going against more of an aggro deck and you just need to protect your base, you're going to have to go cheer it. He's going to protect you. You can use the force, lower their attack, and he can survive. And then if you really need to keep him alive, the following turn, if you got a fallen lightsaber in your hand, you're going to slap it on him, and he's going to be the best tank you have in the game at that point. If you're going into a point and you're falling behind and they're just dropping some crazy units that can cheat out some pretty powerful units, that's where the shatter points comes into effect. You're going to use the force, then you're going to go ahead and kill the non-leader unit. So it just depends on the scenario you're in, right? I would say most of the time, like I said, I probably am going to go Talzin Assassin first, maybe Dooku, and then I'll either play Chirrut or Shatterpoint depending on the situation. Let's go ahead and look at our 5-drop unit. Right now, we only have one 5-drop unit, and that's Asajj Ventress, right? She's actually excellent to play on your leader flip turn. Remember, with Talzin, you want to have the force. You can use her action before you deploy her. Then when you deploy her, then you can play Asajj, buffer, and then you can swing Talzin into whatever your opponent has to actually try to either. It's already going to be weakened because of when you used it on her leader side. On her leader unit side, you're also going to hit them again with another -1/-1. So they'll be looking at -2/-2. And then you also got buffed by Asajj. So you can definitely take out something with the Asajj and Talzin combo. I also want to point out that Mother Talzin with a fallen lightsaber is also a very good combination to also have. So just going to keep an eye on that. Now we're moving up to the 6 cost units. Right now we have Anakin Skywalker. He's our only 6-drop unit right now. We have a play set of him. Now everyone knows he's probably one of the best legendary cards in this game. When you play him, you're going to give -3/-3 to a unit, effectively killing something that has a little bit of health left. Especially if you have a fallen lightsaber at some point that was pinging all that ground unit with 1 damage, he's going to come in excellently and clean things up, or mop it up right after Mother Talzin attacks. It's a great card. Now, let's talk about the in-game cards. For the in-game, we're going to have a Devastator. We have a 2 of. Devastator is busted, man, because usually by the time you get to this resource phase, the game is tight. You probably, at this point, controlled the board very well. And I would play the Devastator. I would probably most of the times play the damage onto a unit just to keep that board state. Because we don't want them to kill the Devastator. It doesn't have a lot of health, but one swing with the Devastator are more than likely going to win the game. So Devastator is great. And also, sometimes there's going to be a point where you just need 4 damage on the base. You can claim early. Once you have the 8 resources on your going first, you play Devastator, you do 4 damage on the base, you win the game. Now the next one is Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine, I think it's awesome in this deck. He is an 8-cost unit. We only have 2 of. He's a 6/6, but when you play him, you get to do 6 damage divided among the enemy units that you wish. So he's also another kind of like pseudo board wipe. It's not going to be a full-blown board wipe, but he's a great card. He can go ahead and do a lot of damage. Throw a lightsaber on him the following turn. You're probably going to win the game. Those are the units. Now let me go back to our Force Lightning and Force Throw. Again, Force Lightning and Force Throw, I don't really consider them early units. I'm considering more or less mid to late game events. So what I want to do is typically for Force Throw, I will hold on to Force Throw if there's going to be a leader that I know that's going to be problematic and my board state's not that quite there and I don't want to trade in all my units into that unit. I will hold on to a Force Throw and use Force Throw and throw maybe a Devastator or even Anakin into there and kill their leader immediately. Also, if I don't have good units, I'll go ahead and use Force Lightning too to take out a leader. I have no problem doing it. So most leaders in the game have typically around 6th to 8th health. So you're going to pay 1 resource to play the Force Lightning, and then you're going to pay 3 to 4 resources depending on how much damage you got to do to take out a leader. And there's some leaders, you just have to kill them. Now, Force Lightning can also kill almost any in-game unit in the game as long as you can pay for it. So it's extremely powerful. So if you do ramp up to 8 resources and something came out that happened to have 16 life or 14 life, you could kill it. Nothing in the game has that much, but I'm just letting you know the power behind Force Lightning. And there's a reason why this card is now $40. Guys, you should have got this back last set when it was $4, right? But this is why I'm going to say Force Lightning and Force Throw are not early game cards. They're your mid to late game finishers, right? Now let's talk about sideboard. On the sideboard, the aggravated parliamentarians, these guys, where I have a playset, Kylo is a thing. The runner-up at the Galactic Championship showed how powerful Kylo can be on his flip turns, can attack twice and win the game. So we want a playset of that in the game. We're also going to have Disabling Fang Fighter. We're just going to have 2 of these. First of all, it's the only real space that we have. It's a 3/2 solid statted, but this is mostly against that Darth Vader deck or any kind of pilot deck. There's still some pilot decks. There's a lot of decks that I'm starting to see in my locals where they're kind of focusing on space, and it makes sense since the Force tends to be more on the ground. You want to have, they're going to have some space with some pilots. Well, Disabling Fang Fire is going to take care of that. Then we're also going to have a 3 of Pillage. Remember, I like Pillage just because it helps you get rid of cards in your opponent's hand. If your opponent can't play cards, they can't play units, they can't win. So if I want to go into a full like discard package, we're going to prioritize the Jedi in hiding. We're going to bring in some Pillage, and we're going to get rid of those cards in their hand. And then lastly, we have the Crate Dragon. Actually, I've said this before, Crate Dragon's one of my favorite cards in the game. This is a 10/10 that essentially whatever unit they play or cost unit, I could do that much damage to a ground unit to the base. I think this is a great card to help seal out and win some games. So if you're playing some of those longer grinder matches where you know you're going to go up to 8, 9, 10 resources, this is a time where you bring in the Crate Dragon because he's going to pay. He's going to make your opponent pay if they try any kind of shenanigans when you're close to winning the game. That is my deck tech here. Now this deck, main deck runs 53 cards. You can run this at 50 cards. I just found it difficult to get rid of some cards. If I am going to get rid of 3 cards to get around that 50 card deck, I'll probably drop the 2 Emperor Palpatines. That'll bring you down to 51 cards. And then I will probably drop Mirren down to 2 instead of 3. And then you'll have your 50 card deck. But this deck has been a lot of fun. If you haven't seen my video, I'll go ahead and link it right there. And you'll be able to watch the gameplay footage of it. Join me during my live stream. I actually be testing out a new Mother Talzin Yellow deck. We'll be streaming probably on Tuesday around 8 Central, 9 Central, just depends on the time when I start. And then we're probably going to keep testing it on Thursday. So if you're new to Star Wars Unlimited, you're interested in seeing how Mother Talzin works, go ahead and join me on my live stream. We'll be looking at Mother Talzin Yellow, and we'll do a separate deck tech. Let me know, have you played Mother Talzin? What colors are you running with Mother Talzin, and how are you building your deck? Let me know in the comments. I read everything and I reply to everyone's comments. Thank you for your time. May the Force be with you. Peace.